back. This is the rest of the Virtual Console launch games, the Super NES, the N64, the TurboGrafx, and the Genesis. This is Virtual Console Roundup. The first game we're going to be looking at today is F-Zero for the Super NES. It's a really good game, actually, surprisingly. Still has that sense of speed, still looks decent as far as the graphics go. I mean, it's nothing impressive anymore, but you could still... It still doesn't look bad by any means. It's not like gonna burn your eyes or anything. The game still plays well and controls well, and there's no problem with that. I mean, there's a little less as far as, you know, doing stuff in the thing. There's not as much with the whole destroying cars and things, but, you know, still the core element. You race, you're going really fast. There's boosters. You'll try to keep yourself from getting damaged. Lots of shortcuts. The F-Zero thing. A glaring flaw, obviously, is there's no multiplayer, so there's not a lot there. There isn't a lot of tracks. There's a few cups in there, and I mean, there's a good amount of tracks, but there's not a lot besides just racing on the 20 or so tracks in the game. It's a fun racer, but there's not a lot left once you've played it. Now, originally, I would kind of be on the fence about recommending it, but now the Superior F-Zero X is on there for 200 points extra. If you're going to buy an F-Zero game, go buy that. Go get yourself some F-Zero. But if you're going to buy... I mean, if you're trying to save and snatch as many Wii points as you can keep to yourself and you like F-Zero, this is a fine choice. It's not a bad game. The music's still good. The graphics are still good. It still plays well. But if you're going to buy an F-Zero game because you want to play a good one, F-Zero X, way better. Way better use of your points. But if you're looking for cheaper and trying to save as much as you can get as much as you can with your money's worth, then the 200 points minus might be worth your while, and it might be worth your while to buy F-Zero. If you've never played an F-Zero, I would probably recommend playing this first before F-Zero X. F-Zero X is a bitch, I will tell you that, but I will review that a little bit later on, so that's what I got for that. The next game we're looking at is the other NES launch game, which is SimCity. Now, SimCity actually started as a PC game, as most people know, and it was Will Wright's first game. Obviously, he's more famous now for the Sims series. The game basically had you in charge of a city. You managed all the things about it, the buildings, the government, financials, all these type of things, and tried to take all three of these different problems, well, not problems really, but just the three main components of a city and manage them and make them work and turn your city into a bustling, prosperous city. Simple concept. It's a fun game. If you like the kind of management games like Sims and stretching it out a little bit, Roller Coaster Tycoon, maybe even like ActRaiser if you played ActRaiser, the management half of the game where you're trying to build the city up to, you know, gain your god powers back, then actually ActRaiser is a pretty basic comparison where it's basically a bare bones version of the SimCity game. If you like this type of game, great game. Underrated as hell. And let's not forget Dr. Wright, your tutorial helper and teacher who has the most bitchin' haircut I think I remember in any game for as long as I remember, for a long time. Yeah, screw Cloud and his fucking spiky hair. This man, much better. But beside the point, the game itself is actually a pretty decent game. I mean, the graphics are dated, and the controls aren't like a mouse setup. It's a little bit harder to control, but ignoring those two little things, it's a great game. I personally like management games, so I'm a little bit biased, but to any person that likes management games, or has never played a sim game, this is a really good game. This is one of the games that a lot of people remember fondly because of, obviously, Dr. Wright, but among other things, it was a good game, and it was a good way to begin the Super NES's lifespan as it launched with the Super NES. So, I personally would recommend it if you're looking for a good management game, if you're looking for something different and something that isn't just some beat-em-up or shooter or platformer. Something different and something cool. I really like it. Obviously, if you're actually looking for a platformer shooter, this isn't the way to go, but if you're looking for something different, or if you like management games, or if you just like the Sims series even, pick this one up. This one is worth the 800 points. Definitely gotta grab it sometime.
me, Mario! Hello!
The only game on the Virtual Console was from the N64 at launch was Super Mario 64. I think anybody that owned a Nintendo system in their lifetime probably owned a copy of Super Mario 64. At least if they owned an N64, but most Nintendo fans owned a Nintendo 64, so in theory most Nintendo fans have played this game already. It was a really good game, and it still holds up damn well today. It's still better than the Super Mario Sunshine game that came out for the GameCube, and I still find it better than some of the Super Mario Brothers that came before, although I still believe Super Mario World and Super Mario 3 are better. Opinion of mine. Doesn't matter. More to the point. Super Mario 64 still controls great. There's still a hell of a lot of levels, still hell of a lot to do, a bunch of secrets later on, lots of cool power-ups. The music still is great. It's a really friggin' good game. The only reason somebody wouldn't pick this up is either A, because they already have a copy, or B, because they played the crap out of it when they had it for the N64. If you've never played this game, ever, then you need to buy this. $10 is great for this game. I don't see how anyone could pass up buying this game if they've never played it before. If you have played it, it was a fun game for me to revisit. I hadn't played it in a few years now. I had a lot of fun going back through some of the stages. I still love the beginning, and I still love trying to get up to the castle without actually having all 120 stars. It's a cool game. But I will say, if you have played it to death, having it on a big screen, it's nice to have it with the 1080, or if you have the HDMI cables or whatever, but really, if you've already owned it, no reason to buy it again. If you don't own it, yeah, I'd buy it if you have the 1,000 points, but if you're trying to buy more old school games you haven't looked around before, this obviously isn't the place to be buying it. This is like any other really good Nintendo Mario, but if you have never played Super Mario 64, buy it now. If you haven't played Super Mario 64 in a few years, buy it now. If you own it or you've played it a few times, you don't need to buy it again. There's no reason. So, yeah, it's Mario. It kicks ass. Buy it. Alright, the next game we're looking at is Altered Beast for the Genesis. I was a Genesis fanboy myself. I always would declare how much better it was than the Super NES. I still feel like I'm kind of right, but I was kind of wrong in the end. But I will admit, even to this day now, Altered Beast, not good. I mean, I was 7, give me a break, when I played it, a lot, but now I went back and played it, and no, absolutely not. It was a mediocre beat-em-up. The controls weren't that good. You were forced to move by scrolling. I hate forced scrolling screens. I like to have a little bit of freedom when I'm moving. The visuals still look alright for a Genesis game, but definitely got a lot better later on, but this also came with the Genesis. And I guess it still was decent with the animal mechanic. I thought it was kind of cool switching into animals, but that kind of is actually kind of lame now. And when you go back in retrospect, when you look at it again. And, I mean, there is co-ops. There's a little bit of decency with that, but you're just sharing the pain with a friend, really. 800 points for this game is a complete and utter rip-off. For free, well, at least you can have a little bit of enjoyment. For $8, you're getting your ass ripped off. And there's so many better games you could buy with your money. Personally, if you buy this game, you're stupid, or you have a lot of nostalgia, and I'm gonna tell you that nostalgia is gonna wear out very fast if you buy it. So, my suggestion, stay away from Altered Beast.